Missional enterprise. Family as a family, mission as a mission, enterprise as an enterprise. Now, I think the only thing that we are, it may sound new, is that we are actually combining all these ways as one. Because I know all of us, we know something called mission, and there are people who are called missionaries. And we also know about enterprise, and there are people who call themselves entrepreneurs. And we all belong to the family. You know, I remember back in the days, a long time ago, before I was exposed to medical missionary work in 1999, I attended a short training. It was facilitated by Hartland College in Malawi, 1 month medical missionary training. It was the first time I heard the word medical and mission as one word. Because I used to know about missionaries and I used to know about medical, but not medical missionary. So as they are sorting out the slides, I remember there was a time, it was in 2005, I was a student here in South Africa, but I was that boy who used to love mom so much. So every holiday I was going home. And I'll get the intercape coach, go to Blantyre in Malawi, and when the holidays are over, come back to school. I was just that boy who used to love mom so much. Have you seen those kind of people? So that was between 2001 and 2004. And one time when I was going back home for holiday, when the school was closed, one of the elders at the church where I was worshiping in Florida said, "How do you go home?" I said, "Oh, I always get a bus intercape 2 days in Malawi." And he felt very sorry for me. So let me buy you a ticket only for this time. So he bought an air ticket for me. And I was like, oh, wow, at least for a change, I can fly 2 hours for a holiday at home. So I was sitting next to an Indian lady. She was also studying here in South Africa at the UCT. She's an Indian Malawian, I can say, just like those Indians you have in David. So she was also going back home to Malawi for a holiday. And very talkative woman. As we were chatting, what are you studying, what are you studying? And then I asked her a question, when you are done with the school, what are your plans? Are you planning to work for the bank? I think she was doing something to do with finance. And then she asked me a question. Have you ever seen an Indian woman working for the corporate in Malawi? And I said, no, I can't remember any. And she said, yes, we Indians, we go to university not to be employed, but to work in a family business. So when I finish my studies in finance at UCT, I'll be joining my father's business. And the time I'll get married, I'm going to join my husband's business. So whatever the business my husband will be doing, that's my enjoyment. Now they really have that culture, and I'm going to show you the impact of that culture to the family, and why that culture is actually closer to the biblical family. The other day, and I think sometime during the same time, I had a fellow student in the class where I was studying nutritional medicine down there in Branston. And in the class, I was the only male student. Can you believe that? In those days, nutrition therapy was like nursing. It was considered a feminine profession. So I was the only male student in the class. And there was, and I think when I was going towards the end, another boy came to join us, but he was a Jew. So one day we were chatting, and he was asking me, what are you planning to do when you finish studying nutritional medicine? So, African mindset, you're thinking of getting a job, working, getting a salary. Then I asked him, what are you going to do? And he said, oh, okay, my parents will have a small business, a small nutritional business. So I'm studying nutritional medicine so that we can see how we can boost that small nutritional business. So I asked him, well, how small is that business? He said, oh, we have a factory, we make nutritional supplement. We have a branch in Miami, a branch in London, a branch in... And I said, okay, so that is small to a Jew. To me, it's already sounding too big in my mind, but to him, it's a small business that their family is doing. Now, you can see an African is studying to get a job. He is studying to boost the business. He's already having a job. So he's not studying hard so that someone can employ him, but he just wants to get the knowledge to boost the family business. So you can see the mindset there, how they think and how we think. And if you read in your Bible, it says, a wise man will always leave an inheritance for his grandchild. Not just the children, but what? Grandchildren. And that's one thing that I've learned from these cultures, the Jews, and some of these Asians and some people from the East. They don't live for themselves, they live for the next generation. And they live not for the children only, but also for the grandchildren. So they build their home industry, their family industry through the generations. In our African culture, when I am doing something, I call myself a businessman. And the woman will call herself a businesswoman. In the Jews and Indian traditional cultures, there's no businesswoman, they have a family business. There's nothing like I am a businessman. What they have is a family business where father, mother, and the children are working together side by side. And you see that this is actually the biblical model of a family. And you find that maybe what is happening today, because the father is the one who knows everything, is running up and down, going everywhere. You may have an industry and you give it the name of your last born or your first born, but that child doesn't know anything of what you are doing. And tomorrow you die, the business also what? Dies. And the family suffers because it was only the husband who knew what he was doing, where he was getting what, and whatever he was ordering, everything. And I always see all the time when I'm going to East Africa, when I'm boarding Ethiopian Airlines in Malawi, you find the Indians, they are going to Dubai with the whole family. He's on a business trip to buy things in Dubai, but the wife and the children are with him. Because he wants these children to see where he buys things, how he negotiates, how he does this, how he does that. And I've observed many times with some of the Indians I knew in Malawi, find that by the time the firstborn reaches 22, the father retires. Because that boy from the age 6 is traveling with his father to China to buy things. So he knows what the father does. He's going with his father to Dubai. He's going with his father to Johannesburg. And they are learning all the tricks. By the time they are 22, they are able to take over the business that the parents are doing. In Africa, by the age of 35, the child is still begging for airtime. Still depending on the parents to provide for them. Because we are training our children to be consumers and not producers. And that is very dangerous. Children are to be taught to become producers, not just consumers. Here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is. And they don't even know how to produce it. We look like we think we are loving them, but we are actually killing them. Now, going to our topic, family mission enterprise. Let's go to the first slide. What do we really mean now? Moving from the Indian and the Jews, this is something now far much deeper than just what the Jews are doing and what the Indians are doing, even though we can learn some lessons from them. Because in the missional enterprise, the major thing there is that word mission. You know, it is actually a family that is growing together, learning together, working together, serving together, and making an impact for eternity. So the mission enterprise, mission is the reason why you are doing the enterprise. It actually makes the difference between self-sacrifice and greed. Because you know, most of the business people in the world are known for being greedy, isn't it? But mission, it changes, it's a different mindset altogether. It's actually the reason why you are doing what you are doing. I'm doing this because I want to glorify God. I want to generate resources to distribute great controversies, to distribute Bibles, to finance missionaries. A mission entrepreneur is the one who is driven by the passion to build God's kingdom. He is not driven by the idea to create wealth and be richer than my neighbors, richer than my sister. You are not driven by greed or to accumulate wealth, that you can keep at the First National Bank. But you are driven by the passion to see God's work being finished. So what can I grow? I want to grow 10 hectares of ginger, but what is driving you is not how much money you want to make, but the impact you want to make in the community. So you look at the industry as a tool, not as a goal. You don't look at money as a goal that you want to achieve, how much money you have made, but you look at money as a tool that if you place it in God's hand, it can accomplish a lot of good. You see, it's like a knife. A knife is just a tool. The same knife can chop watermelon and you can enjoy it. The same knife, someone can use it to stab someone and kill them, isn't it? Any tool can be used for good or what? For bad. So the knife in itself is not a bad thing, but it depends on in whose hands it is. A knife in the hand of a chef, it can make nice sandwiches and very good fruit salad and everything. The same knife, in the hand of a criminal, it can kill someone. So a mission entrepreneur looks at income as a tool for accomplishing great good. And this is the mindset of our pioneers when they are moving to the country. They are going there to start industries. And those industries, the motive was actually for them to support God's work, to become financiers of evangelism, of crusades, of Bible workers, of missionaries who are going all over the world. They were not moving to the country to retire, to fold their hands and just enjoy the watermelons and the strawberries waiting for the trumpet to sound. This is why it's not a place you go when you are 79 and you know that, now I have nothing, there's nothing for me to do in Joburg. Let me go to the country. While you are young and energetic, you can make an impact and you can do wonders. That is the time for you to move. So it is about faith, family, purpose, and legacy. So the purpose is that's the mission, what God has called you, and we're going to touch more on that tomorrow. What is it that God has called you to do? The next slide. I just want to give you some examples in the Bible. This is the first example of Priscilla and Aquila in the Bible. You know, during the Old Testament, and it's still the same for most Jews until today, the Orthodox Jews. You know, every family was known by its trade. So you have, So you have families that were known as tent makers, like Aquila and Priscilla. They were tent makers, husband and wife. And Elisha, his father and his family, they had a grape vineyard. Some families were known for being tinsmiths. So each family was known by its trade. You know, the family of Joseph were known as carpenters. Every family was defined by its trade, whatever they're doing. And you may remember Apostle Paul even said, I think in the book of Timothy, that the mothers are managers of the home. They were managers of the home, not like they were managing plates, you know, and teaspoons and knives. But in those days, if each family was having a trade, and the mothers were managers of that trade. Today, most women, when you talk about, you know, homemaking, they say, oh, homemaking. It means mopping the house, cleaning the windows, and washing the dishes. Well, that can be part of homemaking, but in the Bible times, it was bigger than that. Because each family had a trade, and the mothers were managers of that trade. You may remember the woman who had, you know, 6 pots. The miracles performed, she filled all those pots with what? With oil. She was the manager of that oil industry. That was happening where? At home. So, if you are a homemaker, maybe the question you should ask yourself is, what industry am I managing? I am a homemaker, I'm not working in the corporate, I'm here at home, but what industry are you managing? Apart from making sure that the dishes are done, the house is clean, the garden, you know, is watered, what industry are you managing? Because you are the manager of the home industry. You know, you are not a minister without portfolio, who is just sitting at home. And you can see that what has happened over the years. The home used to be dynamic in the olden days. Even in America, even here in Africa, you know, families were working together. And the home was a place where people were, the industries were happening, learning was happening, and everything was happening at home. Character building was happening from home. Now, for the past 200 years, in the name of civilization, the devil managed to take everything that was happening at home to be happening somewhere else. So the industry that was happening at home is now happening in the factories, thereby forcing fathers to leave their home and mothers to go and follow those industries in the corporate. And you find that character building, which was also happening from home, you know, many people today, they also believe in outsourcing. You know, weekend, where can I drop you? Where can I drop you? They want to drop their children somewhere because they don't know that it's actually their time, you know, to be with the children and to come home and work together with the children. So in a biblical family, you know, the family work together, save together, and they make impact together. And again, if you go to the next slide, you find that even the family of Zebedee, you know, he was this guy who had 3 boys who were, 2 boys who are called by Christ to be the disciples. And they said the father and the sons were mending their nets because it was their industry. They were actually known by that they were fishermen. So you could see that, you know, the parents in those days, they incorporated their children in their industry. Everything that the parents were doing, the children were also involved. They were teaching them their trade, and they are passing the trade to the next generation. And today you find that it does happen. You find maybe, the parents are farmers, and the child is going to school to study something totally different from farming. Studying something interesting, but not farming. And then you wonder, who is going to continue with this farm that the fathers and mother have got? While if you look at the Jews, you find that when the father and mother is owning a pharmaceutical company, the children will be studying pharmacology. Because they know that that industry that their parents have started is what they have to continue. They don't need to go and start from zero. If the father is maybe owning some properties, the children will go and study property management. Because they know that those investments their parents are doing is what they have to carry on and pass it over to the next generation. So this generational thinking, it's a biblical model which in Africa we kind of maybe not having it, and some are learning it, and very few people have done it, and they have done it very well. But the majority of us, when we die, everything that we are doing also dies. Why home industry? Number one, your children will never inherit your degree, your PhD, your master's, and your qualification, whatever it is. You can have a good rank in the corporate, head of HR, head of this, and head of finance. The moment you get sick, cancer stage 3, someone will start acting on your position. And you will be praying that you don't recover, so that they can confirm him on that position. And the day they put you in the grave, this other person will now get a confirmation letter that now you are head of this department. Your children cannot take over your position no matter how wonderful you were and how hard you are working. But your children can only inherit the home industry that you're doing together with them. That's what you can do with them. That's why when you have a home industry, the home industry will never die with the father or with the mother. It will be passed on to whosoever is remaining in the family. Because you work together, you think together, you plan together, and the skills are shared by the whole family. And this is why it is very powerful even when you're considering country living, consider a home industry. Because imagine, we have seen it, of course, people move to the country, but they are depending on the father to be the provider of the family. And like one family we saw in Malawi, the father died and the whole family left the country and went back to the city. Because they didn't know how they're going to sustain themselves without their dad, who was now dead. That because the father was doing whatever he was doing, but he was doing what he was doing alone. In a home industry, this is the difference. The father does not work for the family. The father works together with the family. If there's a difference between working for the family and working together with your family. And when you go into the books of Sunlight curriculum and the more formula curriculum, it actually says the role of the father in a home school is to teach his family a trade. That is the role of the father. The mother can teach the children how to cook, how to do this, how to do sewing, how whatever. But the role of the father in a home school is to teach the family a trade. So if you are a father and you are doing true education at home, the question you should ask yourself is, what kind of a trade am I teaching my children and my family? What trade is there that if you die tomorrow, your children will carry on? What industry are you doing that if you are gone tomorrow as a father, your wife and your kids will carry on with that mission? Because without that, it means as a father, I am failing, I am sleeping on the job. Because my role is to have an industry that I work together with my wife and with my children, which means it must not be so sophisticated that your children cannot understand it. It must be what we call durable traits, meaning that any child at any age can participate and they can know what you're doing, how you're doing it. And tomorrow you're sick, your daughter can stand up and do it. Tomorrow you are not there, your son can stand up and do it. That is what is called a home industry. The next slide. You may not read this, but I'm going to share the notes. I think the fonts are smaller. It's just defining family missional enterprise. Family missional enterprise is a family working, learning, thinking, and building together around a shared God-given mission. So you are learning together, you are building together, you are working together side by side around a shared God-given mission. It means you know what God has called your family to do. You have a mission, you understand your purpose, you understand your calling, and then you work together as one team. It's not a family where everybody is doing their own thing and you don't know what that one is doing, this one doesn't know what that one is doing, this one doesn't know what, but you are working together as a team. But at the same time, it says the enterprise become a living classroom, a character building system, a discipleship tool, and a platform for service. And that's one powerful thought I want you to understand, that in mission entrepreneurship, it's not the money that is important, but the industry is like a living classroom where we can now build character. Many people, they find it hard to teach their children character in a true education because they think true education is a theory where you just have to memorize some quotations from the books. True education is practical knowledge. And it is demonstrated and can only be manifested through home industries. That's why the school of the prophets, the school of Elisha, it was full of industries. That's how those characters that you lay in the sunlight, whether it's a faithfulness, perseverance, all those characters that we talk about, you can now apply them in real life when you have an industry. It is difficult to teach a child character building without industries. And the reason why most home schools fail is because they believe in having a desk and books, and they don't have industries. According to more formula, it says children should only spend 2 hours a day, not more than 2 hours a day, on academic learning. That is sitting on the desk and working on books. The rest of the day they should be involved in practical industries. Now, if you also read the book of education, Sister White says that between academic learning and industries, if one has to fail, it must be the academic, not the industries. You understand that? But if you have a challenge, in your home school, you should rather fail the academic but not the what? not the industries. Because the industry is what shapes the character. It's what actually teaches, builds resilience, perseverance, and all those character qualities that we always learn about. And the system of education somehow deceived us that more degrees are equivalent to success, which is not really true. I was in Tanzania the other day. You find the people who just grew up in the home where there were industries, and they can't even speak a word in English, but they're doing big businesses. And you find that this thing of equating, a number of degrees and success is not really true. You can be successful, your child can be successful without a university degree. If they can learn durable trades and industries. And again, parents and children combine their gifts, skills, time, and resources to create value, solve problems, save others, and support the mission of God. What does that mean? It means in a family, you're not all going to have the same skills and the same talents. I was touched by one African family in Uganda. They are running a home industry, probably the most successful one I've ever seen, run by black people in the countryside. They started when their children were young. They said they moved to the country in 2003, 2004. They are now like over 20 years there. Their children were young then, and all of them are married, and they're still staying there. And all the children that have built their homes on that farm, they've got about 20 hectares farm. They do a lot on that farm. But every child is doing something according to their talents and their skills. The first-born daughter is a manager. The other daughter, she manages the vegetarian restaurant. The other daughter, she's managing the farm. The other daughter is managing all the children. There were 6 girls. And all of them are working with their parents until now. But they are all married. But they just love the farm so much that they don't need to go anywhere. But so in a home industry, children, they contribute according to their talents. Another child may be very good at marketing, graphic designing, creating social media marketing, all those kind of things. Another child may be very good at producing this and producing that, maybe mixing this and mixing that and making some remedies. Another child may be good at, counseling and teaching, whatever. So all those skills, you use them to build a family industry because you need all of them. It's not about competing who is the best. It's about accomplishing the best by working together. So you can think of any team, whether it's netball or soccer. Not everyone is a goalkeeper. Not all of them are strikers, but they all want to win the game. So you work together as a team, and you complement each other. You don't compete with each other. So you complement, the husband will complement the weaknesses of the wife. It's not trying to outshine each other, the way it is happening today. It's not about to prove that, I am the man of the house. What I say is final. No, you actually benefit from the wisdom of the wife, the intelligence of the daughter, the intelligence of that one. In my home, every Monday we have a parliament, a home parliament. So I'll be sitting there with my wife, with my daughters, and I'll let them suggest what do you want us to do in our home industry, what should we do? And I listen to all of them, and they'll be debating. Someone is saying, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this. And I'm also able to gauge their intelligence. Sometimes I can see that my daughters, they even reason better than me. And they're able to suggest better decisions, what to do than I should. So if you have got this African mentality that, oh, I am the man of the house, what I say, it's the last statement, and if the wife comments, you think she's dishonoring you. That's not leadership. Because as a leader of the home industry, you must benefit from the wisdom of everyone who is in the family. You may find that your last born may come up with a brilliant idea that can build a successful home industry. That last born may be as young as 7 years, but they can come up with a good suggestion that the whole family can benefit from. So when you are leading a home industry, don't become the army commander, but you be a leader, someone who can actually you also lead the family by love. In as much as mothers are home managers, but they need to lead by love. Your children, they may know that they might see that you value them, and they need to feel valued, they need to feel appreciated, and they need to feel needed. And if you don't know those two things, feeling valued, feeling appreciated, and feeling needed, is what creates a deep feeling of belonging. And these are the children who actually stay longer with their parents. If you are just feeding your children like a chicken, here's breakfast, here's lunch, here's breakfast, here's lunch, here's breakfast, here's lunch. That child cannot wait the time when they reach 18 and they leave home. Because they feel, I'm just a chicken here. I'm not needed here. I need to go to a place where I can be valued, where I am needed, where my skills are wanted. But when the children know that their skills are needed at home, their wisdom is valued at home, their intelligence and their contribution is far much needed at home. These are the children who stay as long as possible, maybe until the day they say, I do. The day they'll get married and they start their own home. But they'll not leave home while they're still single. Because they know that where I stay, it's where I am valued. The feeling of belonging is a natural desire that God created in us. But God designed that the children should find this natural desire of belonging in the family. But it's impossible for you to create that as a parent. It's not something that you create only by prayers. You create it by having home industries where you work side by side with the children, and your children, they become your best friends. That's what home industry does, and I've seen it with my daughters. They're always free to tell you anything and everything. They'll chat and chat and chat, because when you work together with the children, they really become your best friends. And that's what a home industry should do. A home industry should make the family best friends. So it's not about you showing how hard you are. Hey, children, my name is Mom. It's 5 o'clock. Wake up! The house is not a barracks. Whatever you do it with love. And the last point there is that in the home industry, success is not measured by money alone. How much money did we make after selling our spouses? Success is actually measured by how you have developed character as a family, the skills that you have learned, and the people that you have saved. How many lives have you touched this year, 2026? Have you made a difference in other people's lives? How many people have been blessed by the everlasting gospel, the 3 angels' messages through your industry? And how have you transformed in your spiritual life? How have you grown? Because if your industry is not making you to develop character, to grow spiritually, to become more and more like Jesus, if the industry is not helping you to make an impact in other people's lives, if that industry, is not helping you to learn new skills and more skills, then you're doing it the wrong way. Maybe you're doing it the forced education way. So at the end of the year, when you're doing your stock taking and you're counting how much profit did you make, you may find that maybe you have 0 rand in your account. But you may find that you have learned so many skills as a family. And the character has developed. And maybe you have touched 1,000 people. I was touched with the guy who inspired me to start agritourism at our farm. He's an Adventist who was also living in a country in Kenya. Every year, he makes an impact to over 1,000 people. People who just come to visit his farm and is able to preach the 3 angels' message to them as they come through the farm. And that's the family that actually inspired us that, okay, I think this is another path of evangelism we can actually use at our land. And of course, it must also be something that prepares you for eternity, just like the theme of this camp, preparing for end time. It has to prepare you for eternity. If the industry that you're doing is just for you to live a better life, is not preparing for the life to come, then what's the point of doing it? It must prepare your family for eternity. So it's not about having an affection to material blessings, where you become emotionally attached to your farm, emotionally attached to your beekeeping, emotionally attached to whatever products you are manufacturing and selling. No, those are just tools. Your emotional attachment should be to eternal life. Because at the end of the day, everything that we are doing, Christ is going to say it is done. It is finished. That's why the time is coming soon, and very soon, when we are going to leave our beautiful farms during the greater time of trouble, and we have to go to the mountains, where angels will be feeding us, where they say our bread and our water will be sure. We are going to leave all those, grapes and the strawberries and the butternut in the farm. And no matter how beautiful your country home is going to be, a time is coming when you have to abandon all that. When the master up there says it is finished. So, if the trade is not preparing your family for heaven, if the trade is making you to forget to have devotions, if the trade is making you to forget to pray and to go into the war room and intercede for others, if the trade is making you to have no time to do evangelism, you are doing it the worldly way. Because a missional entrepreneur is driven by the love of God. You see how much God has done for you. It's that song, I think it used to be a heritage singer song. I wonder, have I done enough for Jesus? When he has done so much for me. So you are doing it for God. You are doing it for God's glory. It's not even your industry. Your partner is God himself. So you are doing it to lift up God's name. You are doing it to his glory. And when he says it is done, you shout amen. It is time to go home. So you'll be happy to leave everything and then wait somewhere in the bush, in the mountains, waiting to see a cloud descending from heaven. The last slide. We do not use the family to build the business. We use the enterprise to build the family. and serve the mission and impact eternity. And this is a very important point to understand. You know, in a worldly mindset, I must use this person and use that person. But in this mindset, the enterprise is a tool to build the family. You know, and not the family to build the business. This is why when you are making decisions about what kind of trade you want to do as a family, ask yourself some questions. Will this trade going to build our family? How will this trade going to help us to preach the three angels' message? How will this trade going to help us to build character? Ask yourself all those questions. How is this trade going to help us to get ready for eternity? Because there are so many things that can help you make money. And you know, there are people who may even suggest things to you. Oh, my sister, you can do this. Your friends are doing that. Oh, brother, you can also sell this and that. But the question you should ask yourself is, will this kind of trade going to unite our family together? Or is that a trade that will make you to be running around all up and down, and you don't even have time to spend with your family? No time to pray together, no time to work together. So all those, when you have ticked all those boxes, this trade is going to help me to work together with my children, with my wife. You know, it is going to bind us together. It is going to build our character. It is going to give us new skills. It is going to prepare us for eternity. It is going to help us to preach the three angels' message. Then you know you have found the right trade. So what I'm trying to say is, not every trade that is out there in town is a trade that can be done by missional entrepreneurs. Not everything. Alcohol makes a lot of money. You know, in Malawi, I was an Adventist, and they opened a bottle store. In another township, like in Soweto, and they're staying here. So they'll be selling alcohol there, but their church elders here. Because they know no one will discover that they're selling alcohol. And they know that many people are drinking. If they are selling alcohol, everybody will buy. So there are some other things. For example, you know, you're doing sewing. You're sewing clothes. Now, as a Christian, as a child of God, you understand the principle of modest dressing, isn't it? And someone is saying, I want you to make something, but it must come, down here. You want to make money, but do you do anything? No, there are things that you can say, this I cannot what? I cannot do. If it is me making a dress for you, these are the only dresses that I can make. I only make modest dresses. And I know one lady, she did that in Malawi. She made herself known for making modest dresses. At first, it was like she was losing customers. But as time goes by, she ended up getting a lot of business. Because people knew that if you wanted something modest, that is where you go. So she branded herself with modest clothing. So everybody wants something modest, something decent. They'll go to her. To the point that now she has got lots of customers. So you can see that there are those principles that as God's children, we cannot compromise. As they always say, the greatest want is the want of men who can stand for the right. Even when heaven's what? Heaven's fall. And Sister White also said that the greatest challenge in our time, it will be to stand for the right when champions are few. So this is part one of missional entrepreneurship, and we will continue with the lesson tomorrow. For tonight, allow me to stop there. I think there's the last slide, which we didn't read yet. I've already spoke about that, the mission, the enterprise must unite the family and not divide it. That's why if a trade is introduced to you, ask yourself this question: is it going to unite my wife and my children together with me? Or is it going to divide us? If the answer is yes, it is not going to divide, it is going to unite us, then you have found a family trade. A home industry must unite the family. It must bring the family together. It must make the family a powerful missionary team. Then it's not just about selling charcoal and garlic, but it's about how that industry is uniting you as a family in mission. May the Lord bless you. Amen.
Amen.
It's time for